Good morning here on Positive Stroke, staying clean. And I'm so happy that you're here this Thursday. And today we're going to talk about it takes time. We did not become an addict in one day, so easy does it. We're in recovery now. And I know that you've experienced a lot of pain and a lot of hurt and a lot of information to understand just how much damage you've done to yourself and others. And I remember back when I came into recovery and I looked at myself and I didn't like myself for all the damage I've done to others. And I realized that it's going to take a long road to recover from addiction. It's going to take a long road to get myself together. It's going to take a long road for me to accept to live life on life's terms. It takes time. Yes, it does. And that's why they say one day at a time, one situation at a time, one problem at a time that we try to conquer. When I realized that I was in my active addiction for 40 years, that I duped myself, I conned myself, I manipulated myself to stay in active addiction for 40 years, then I believed and I understood that Robert was his worst enemy because he kept himself in active addiction for 40 years. I couldn't point the blame at nobody else but myself because I'm the one that controlled me. I'm the one that controlled myself to put the pipe in my mouth, to smoke cocaine, to freebase. I'm the one that did that. Nobody forced it into my system. No one. And when I came to that realization that I'm the one that did that to myself, I didn't feel too good about myself. I felt that I'm the one that did the direct damage to myself. Yeah, I had trauma. Yeah, I was forced in a world of living on life's terms at a very young age that knew nothing about survival and living on life. But I did the best I could with the information that I had to live the life that I did. But the point is that I made a decision to put that drug into my system. No one else. And when it gave me the relief that I thought that I needed, I then wanted more and more and more to solve the problem of the pain that I was living in. And what it did was it was making me run away from the issues of my life. Instead of facing them, going through it, and learning from it, and making better choices, I chose to suppress it, forget about it, and what I did was allow it to live rent-free in my head. So my recovery took time for me to understand my situation about addiction. It didn't come overnight. At any way you want to look at it, it surely didn't. It took time. It took time for me to understand that, Robert, you put your trust in a feeling to make you escape from the problems and the situations that hurt you so deeply. You chose not to work on them. You choose not to go through these issues. You choose not to learn from them, understand it, and grow from them. But what you did was you suppressed it, and by suppressing it, it constantly came back and lived rent-free in your head, causing you to live that pain over and over and over again. And it would intensify each time that I would live it again. But I also understood that at that particular time in my life, this type of feeling saved me from destroying myself even worse than it was, because I was lost. I was stuck, not knowing what to do next. I was in survival mode for 40 years. For 40 years, I was in survival mode. So as I come into recovery and I'm in survival mode for 40 years, the survival mode is still there, active, powerful. But recovery is teaching me to reconnect with myself, to pull the plug on myself so my brain can reset, so my heart can reset, so I'm able to understand and learn about recovery. How did I reset? By giving up, finding that my way did not work, and this took time. It didn't happen overnight. Recovery doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And I had to learn about myself. I had to learn who I was at that particular time in my life, 40 years ago, and how I handled situations the best I could with the knowledge that I had. And I understood that a lot of my time in my active addiction, that the drugs saved me from myself, but it brought me deeper into the rabbit hole of depending on it to save me from everything that was going on with me. Yes, I had to learn about my past. I had to learn about why I did what I did when I did it. What caused me to act in the manner that I did. It also taught me that I must learn from my mistakes. That means that Robert had to accept the mistakes that he made in the past. I had to learn to accept the path that I had taken, the wrong path. I had to learn how to understand why I took this path. And I went down this road. I also understood that I was very stubborn because I kept myself in active addiction for 40 years. So that means I'm a strong-willed person wanting to do it my way. And I found out that my way did not work, that I finally gave up of trying to do it my way, which allowed recovery to enter into my life. When I gave up, surrendered to recovery, I learned that my way did not work. I finally gave up. It takes time because I want to be right. I want to be right. I want my way. And I'm learning that it's not that way that's going to be the best course of action for me. So when you think about your past and the mistakes that you've made, just like I did, I didn't dwell on the damage that others did to me. I dwelled on the damage I did to myself. And that was my game changer. Then recovery taught me that nobody can hurt me unless I allow them to. No one can direct me in the wrong path unless I allow them to. Recovery taught me the power that I do have, and that is me, my actions, my way. By me keeping the focus on myself, I make myself better. When I look back at my active addiction and being caught in it for 40 years because I wanted to do it my way and I was stubborn not to change my behavior, then I understood that I caused the pain and the remorse and the hurt that happened to me because I choose not to change. I gave excuses not to change. I blamed everybody else except myself, and I would not change. But when I kept beating myself up against the brick wall that I'm in control of myself and I'm allowing myself to go through these things because I choose not to change, when I realized that, I gave up. And then I realized another important thing in my life. I realized that I don't know everything. So how do I know that my way is the best way? Am I keeping myself in this frame of mind because I want to be right? Am I keeping this in my frame of mind that I don't want to learn a different path? And the interesting thing is, I enjoyed the pleasure that drug cocaine gave me. It relieved the pressure. It made me forget. But recovery taught me that I must not forget what I've done, but learn from what I've done and the things that have happened to me. I have to feel the hurt. I have to feel the pain. I have to go through the remorse and the grief process of the situation that happened in my life until it doesn't have that power anymore. And in my recovery, I went through the grieving process of the trauma of my past over again. And it was very painful. A matter of fact, I think when I really addressed the trauma that happened in my past, I think I cried anywhere from 6 to 8 hours, constant. I could not stop. That's how deep and how bound I was with that situation. But after all that was let out, because I've been carrying it for such a very long time, and I let it out, a great weight was lifted off my heart and my mind. It didn't hurt like it did anymore. It didn't live rent-free in my head anymore. It kept me on a path to recovery. And I finally realized that by me going through the fire of the trauma, of the pain I've caused myself and what was caused to me, and going through it, I was able not to make bad choices in my life. But when I allowed my past trauma and the pain I've done to others to live rent-free in my head, then I lived the situation over again, and over again. But the interesting thing is that the narrative of the situation would change, and I would add more situations of pain into that, and the pain would get greater. But it had nothing to do with the beginning of the trauma that happened to me and the things I've done to myself. I just added more of the negative into the situation and made it blow up into something more than what it was. My recovery was a very long road because as I worked the steps, the 12 steps, and I completed them, I realized that my work was just getting started. That after I completed the 12 steps, that my work was just getting started because I realized just how bad off I truly was. I understood how the grip of this progressive illness had grips of me, held me tight, and kept me down for 40 years. I understood that I have to go through the mistakes and the pain of my choices and learn to live with the mistakes that I made and to move forward in my life. I must forgive those who have harmed me and the persons that I've harmed, and give it to a power greater than me to restore or learn to live with or without the persons I love. Recovery teaches me to live life on life's terms. That means the people that I've harmed say, I hate you, Robert. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I don't give a damn about your recovery. You've hurt me. And no matter what I say or what I do, this is the way they feel. I have no control over these people's feelings. So even though it hurts, even though I would like to change their minds and see that I'm a different person, I must honor and respect their decision, whether I like it or not. That's living life on life's terms. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially as someone you love and you want to stay connected with that person or you want to be a part of their lives. But I have no control over people, places, or things. But it doesn't take away the pain or the hurt. I must learn to accept it. That's why the program says one day at a time. Why? Because we have today. We only have today. Yesterday took care of itself, but we have today. Robert has to learn to stay clean and sober today. Robert has to learn to accept the things that he does not want to accept. Robert has to learn that there are people that's going to hate him. There's going to be people that's going to love him. There's going to be people that don't want to have nothing to do with him. And this could be ranged from friends, strangers, and family. Acceptance. Acceptance in recovery was one of the hardest things for me to face, to accept that I can't change your mind, your thought process about me. I had to accept that. Though it didn't matter how much work I did in recovery, how much I made my life better, how much I am helping others being a part of other people's recovery, it doesn't matter. I cannot change a person's mind. They have to change their own mind and their own view about me. All I can do is live life on life's terms. And to get to that point in my life, it took time. Time to look at myself honestly and openly. Time to correct myself and make myself better by learning from my mistakes. And recovery taught me that I am not a perfect person, that I've never been a perfect person. I used to believe that when people tell me things, that this was the truth, this was the right way. But addiction taught me that it wasn't, because everybody doesn't tell you the truth. Only their truth, their belief, their way, what they think, what they believe. So recovery taught me that I need to have an open mind about everything. I need to pay attention to what's going on around me to protect my recovery, to not fall victim of addiction, to not fall victim to mistakes that I make. Because I'm going to continue to make mistakes because I'm an imperfect person. But I don't have to wallow in self-pity. I do what I'm supposed to do, learn from my mistake, and make a better choice. There are a lot of people that will not own up to the mistakes they made. They will never own up to their mistakes because they don't want nobody to see their mistakes because of their pride or where they present themselves. So they try to hide it and sweep it up under the rug. But the interesting thing is, the more things you sweep up under the rug, the higher the mountain gets up under the rug. Nothing changes. It just gets swept up under the rug until you have so many issues and so many situations that you had in your active addiction. Because I know. And by me understanding that it takes time to learn the best course of action for yourself, then I must accept that. Oh, I know. I want what I want and I want it now because I want it. And this is the right thing for me. And when I accept it like that, 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong thing for Robert. I learned that sometimes Robert has to put a muzzle on his mouth and not say nothing, but keep his thoughts to himself. And I learned by me doing that, that the next right thing happens. The best choice of action appears and things get better. Yes, I thought that by me controlling everything, it's going to be okay. But I realized that I don't have that kind of power. I present that power in my head like I have it like that, but I don't. I spend all that time in my active addiction pushing my will and my way that I took the focus off myself. And my life got better, worse, worse, better, worse, better, better, worse, 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 until I was in the rabbit hole where I couldn't get out. It was like a springboard, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, 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 up, down, down, down. And that was for 40 years. But when I took recovery to heart, when I lived life on life's terms, when I accepted that I have no control over people, places, or things, but I have control over Robert, and I better watch Robert because Robert is his worst enemy. That's when my life got better. When I took the focus off of everybody else. And I learned this lesson in recovery. I share that I was working for a recycling company, and which was right at the dump, worked at the dump. And I was assistant plant manager for 9 months. And I used to hear people come into my office and explain and complain about other people's actions on the job. And it would be the same people always complaining about other people's actions on the job. So one day I just said, let me watch a person that's constantly complaining all the time about all these other issues that are going on. And I found out that the person that was doing the most complaining wasn't doing a bit of work. That they expected to talk about everybody else and what they was doing, which took the focus off of themselves. But when I watched them, they only did 10% work each and every day. Yeah. I realized that by this person constantly being in my face, crying the blues about what everybody else was doing, wasn't doing no work at all. And I demoted him to a regular worker, from supervisor to a regular worker. Kept him at the same pay because he has a lot of time with the company. He had more time than I had. So I couldn't mess with the pay, but I could demote him from his position. And that's what I did. And when I did that, he couldn't even last 3 weeks. My purpose is when I demoted him and I called him into the office, I said, listen, I says, I'm taking away your supervisory position. You're going to be a regular worker for 90 days. For 90 days, you have no power. And what I wanted to teach him was, I wanted him to learn was, learn how to work with people. Find a common ground so you can get people wanting to listen and want to follow your lead. all you was been doing is slinging mud, constantly thinking that you're putting people's fear of losing their job on them is going to make them work harder and faster. Never works that way. But when you have people that are dedicated to working for you, they're willing to go that extra mile. They're willing to stay overtime. They're willing to support you to get the job done. So, as I think about that situation when I was the plant manager for the recycling company, I thought about that in my recovery. That in order for me to get better, to live life on life's terms, instead of focusing on everybody else's situation, I need to focus on Robert's situation. I need to give Robert the attention that he needs so he can live his best life. But it takes time. We did not come in attic in one day, so remember, easy does it. You know the saying. I hope what I shared today will make you feel that you are able and willing to make your life better, one day at a time. Do not let I want what I want now to come and control you to make you feel like you're not getting where you need to be. Recovery is a process, one day at a time. When you complete today, that's one more day that you have clean and sober. You keep it simple because I kept it simple. I lived in addiction for 40 years, so I created a mountain of issues that I had to overcome. And it takes time. And where I'm at today is the greatest gift from a power greater than myself that restored me to sanity. My higher power is God. God has done for me what I could not do for myself. And I hope your higher power you stay connected with so you can be the best that you can be, that you can overcome the situations in your life that is holding you down, that you can let go and let a power greater than you restore you to sanity. You have a great and wonderful Thursday.